Starting the record. Om. 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 Sai Vidmahe Sathya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sai Vidmahe Satya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sai Vidmahe Satya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Offering my most loving pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagawan and our beloved Chancellor of the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. I take this opportunity, being on the eve of the convocation, 1st of November, to offer my gratitude to our most beloved Bhagawan, the founder, the Chancellor of our institute, for establishing that one-of-a-kind university where we could learn the values of the human life all over again. So many of us, thousands of us, to enter his portals, we could be in his divine presence, to soak in his presence, and to soak in the values that he practiced. I offer my loving pranams at the lotus feet and loving Sairam to one and all on this evening of 21st November. When you mention 21st November, I'm sure it brings in such warm memories for every student of Bhagawan's. Because this was the evening where the dormitories, the hostel corridors would be brimming with joy and excitement. And preparations would be at the peak for the next day and the following day. Bhajan practices would be on and singing practices would be on, and even to the minutest detail would be taken care of. For instance, even the practice sessions, there would be practice sessions for just sitting up and getting up, how to sit down on the floor and get up when we will be presented to the on the convocation day to the Chancellor and the guests of honor. And above all, the corridors and the corridors of the hostel and dormitories would be filled with his divine presence everywhere, all the time. 21st November was such a potent evening, and so it is today. And carrying those omnipresent moments with me today, I begin today's satsang with Sister Vijayalakshmi. Sister Vijayalakshmi's family came into Bhagawan's fold in the year 1985, when her father heard about Bhagawan from his colleagues in Delhi. Soon after, they prayed to Bhagawan that they would transfer him to closer to somewhere in South India, so that they could have his darshan soon. And Bhagawan heard their prayers. They had their first darshan of Bhagawan at Brindavan, and Viji was just a 6-year-old then. And soon after, Sister Viji's father was posted in the beautiful hilly town of Coonoor. Coonoor happens to be in Tamil Nadu, and it is just about, I think, 20 kilometers away from Ooty. And it was such a blessed opportunity for them that every time Bhagawan would pass through the town on his way to Ooty, they could have lovely darshans of Bhagawan on the way. Her parents became Sevadals in Coonoor, and Sister Viji joined the Balvikas in the 3rd grade. Eventually, she joined the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Anantapur campus in the year 1999 to do her Bachelors in Humanities. Thereafter, she went on to do her master's degree in English language and literature, and also her Bachelor's in Education from the Institute. She was blessed to receive the gold medal from Bhagawan's hands for the B.Ed degree in the year 2005. Among the many precious moments she's had as a student, she counts this as the most precious one, that Bhagawan blessed her with an opportunity to speak in his divine presence during the Veda Purusha Saptah Yajna in the year 2004. Now today, apart from being a working mother, she's a Balvikas Guru in a center in Bangalore. Now for me personally, Viji, she was my batchmate and classmate for 5 years. And to introduce Viji, I think I will have to just go back to a very common occurrence that used to happen during our student days. I mean, there would be times when the teachers would scold us as a class or as a batch. And many of us, as you know, as usual, as normal, many of us would be, disappointed. Many of us would be, downcast. Some of us would be even coming close to tears. But there would be one face that would emerge from the room with a beaming smile, and that would be Viji's. That is for certain. So such was her positivity towards life, and such was her faith in Bhagawan. Seeing the silver lining around the black cloud, around any black cloud, is a mantra of her life, I'm sure. Viji happens to be my classmate for 5 years, as I said. And what stands out for me, with my interaction with her in all those years, is her hardcore positivity. Bhagavan has often said that life with God is endless hope, and Viji lives by that adage every single day. And as students of philosophy, we used to have our conversations used to range about Indian philosophy or Vedanta, or we used to have conversations on how to get closer to Bhagavan, or how we could get closer, how we could please Bhagavan. And Viji's responses would be the most unusual and most out of the box and most impressive as well. And with her mind constantly rooted to Bhagavan's lotus feet. This daughter of Sai is such a befitting speaker for today evening. I'm so happy to introduce this blessed daughter of Sai today to speak to us. And I look forward to listening to her. Thank you so much for joining us today, Viji. Yeah. Viji, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Anu. Thank you, Sister Anu. So you have brought back all those memories. I'm already in tears just by recollecting all those wonderful moments that we had with Swami. I offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan. Respected elders and my dear brothers and sisters, Sairam to all of you. I would like to start by thanking all of you for giving me this wonderful opportunity to go down the memory lane and cherish those wonderful treasures that Swami has blessed with me in this life. So let's start the journey together. So as Sister Anupama said, it started in the year 1985 when my father heard about Swami from his colleagues. He was introduced to Swami through the Sai literature, the famous books. I think most of them had come to Swami through those books, Man of Miracles and My Baba and I. So these were two of the books that were lent to my father. He read every page of it. He was totally impressed. And his colleagues happened to be Swami's devotees. And they used to tell a lot of experiences to Swami every day. And he in Delhi itself started waiting to have the first darshan of Swami. And that materialized when he got a transfer to South India. And he made it a point that the first stop, just after coming to South, the first stop would be to have Swami's darshan. And he got to know Swami was in Whitefield, Brindavan. So we made a stopover. Our luggages were sent, but we came separately. So we made a stopover in Brindavan, Whitefield, and went for Swami's first darshan. And the memories that are etched in my mind was how so beautiful Swami's form was, how graciously he floated in the darshan hall, blessing each one, taking letters, and he threw chocolates and sweets at us. So that was something which I still remember. As a child of 6-year-old, we were just waiting to catch hold of those chocolates, both me and my brother. Even in the gents side, he had done the same thing. Ladies side also, he had done the same thing. So we were blessed with chocolates and sweets right in the first darshan. So that was beautiful memories. And The transfer that my father had got was to a town called Coonoor, very close to Ooty. And that was such a blessing. Swami had pulled us into his fold by giving my father that particular transfer to Coonoor. So we had never even heard of that locale before we came in there to live over there. And to our surprise, everyone that we met in Coonoor was a devotee, whether it was my father's colleagues or my teachers, my friends in school, anyone, even my neighbors. So anyone you speak with, Swami had touched everyone's life. And there were plenty to hear. Every evening was a satsang in Coonoor, and my parents would spend hours together listening to all those experiences, and we would just sit along with them, chat with my friends, and still all we got was stories of Swami, and that was completely etched in our hearts. And probably that was also because there was a staff college, different staff college in Coonoor, and a lot of people used to come in for training. But whatever it is, the town was filled with Swami always. So not only during the times when Swami visited, and that those were special days, and almost every year, almost every summer vacation, it was a given that Swami would be there in Ooty, and he would spend at least 10-15 days. That was that's all I remember, probably more or a little less. But I knew that Swami would be there in Ooty every time during the summer vacation, and we would be waiting for those days to just go and have a glimpse of Swami. And Ooty darshans were real fun. Even a very crowded darshan would go up to 5 lines max. So 4 to 5 lines, and that we used to say, oh my God, so crowded it was today. My parents used to say that, and then just 5 lines. Even if you're in the last line, you will be in the 5th row, not more than that. And Swami would make sure that he walks everywhere and he blesses everyone. Almost everyone in the darshan line would always get a Padanamaskar of Swami. Not just a single day. If you're going for 2 days for darshan, you have Padanamaskar for 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. Every day Swami would bless everyone with Padanamaskar, take letters. It was such beautiful days. And one more point was like, even the Sevadals, there were hardly any Sevadals those days. So there was an announcement that whoever wanted from the crowd, they could just get up and volunteer to be a Sevadal. And that's how my parents became Sevadals. My mother from the ladies said she saw my father getting up and volunteering. So she also got up, and immediately both of them were given scarf, and they stood there for crowd control, and they became the Sevadals. So that's how it happened. And they put me in Balvikas, and that was such a beautiful Balvikas, where again our guru had so many experiences with Swami, and we used to spend our time listening to her. And all my neighbors, my friends, were also my Balvikas batchmates. So even while playing, it used to be only talk about Swami. So that was wonderful days. And one memory that is etched in my mind from the Coonoor time was once we got to know that usually Swami might pass through Coonoor, or he might come through the other way through Bandipur to Ooty, and he might miss Coonoor sometimes, but always we used to have darshan in Ooty. But once we got to know a few times, but this is once that I remember very clearly, that we got to know that Swami was passing through Ooty at a particular date, at a particular time. So that was an opportunity for us. We thought, okay, we'll catch a hold of Swami right there in Coonoor instead of going to Ooty all the way. So few families got together, probably 10 to 15, not more than that. They brought us along, all the kids were there along with the family, Balvikas children, and we sat right there in the road. We knew Swami's car would pass through that road. That is the only route that he could take to Ooty. So right there, just beside the road, all of us were sitting on the mud, and someone had brought in a chair for Swami to sit in, and bhajan started in full spree. We were waiting for Swami to arrive. And just 10 or 15 minutes before the time where Swami was supposed to arrive, we realized that there was no carpet for Swami to walk on. he had to get up, and there were a lot of stones and muds everywhere, and how it would poke Swami's beautiful soft feet. And that is when people started thinking, oh my God, what do we do now? And the closest point from that place, around 1.5 kilometers, was my home. Others were staying a little far off. So my father rushed home. He brought in a plastic mat. That's all he could grab in that time. He brought it and he spread it across, put a few flowers over there. And right then, when we were set, Swami's car came. Bhajans were going on. He saw us and then he stopped the car. He said, wait, I want to get down. And then Swami got down. He walked on that plastic mat. He sat in the chair. And he sat there listening to almost everyone sing. So hardly 10 or 15 elders were there. All of them were singing bhajans. So Swami sat through all of the bhajans, 10 to 15 minutes. And then he got up, he gave Pada Namaskar to everyone, blessed each and every child. And then he said, Santosham, Santosham, and got back into the car and he left. So that was one beautiful memory that we have from the Coonoor time. And one more beautiful memory that I have, where Swami blessed us with a dream, was once again during the summer vacation, but this time probably we were a little smaller. So I think I was in second standard and my brother was in UKG. So my parents had got to know that Swami had come to Ooty, and they didn't want to wake us up so early in the morning in the cold. So they thought they would go have a quick darshan of Swami and get back before we are awake. And they left. They had their darshans, but Swami had other plans. And that day, coincidentally, both me and my brother had Swami's dream. And in the dream, Swami came. He said, why didn't you come today? Take Pada Namaskar. And both of us took Pada Namaskar. And then we got up also from the sleep and we spoke with each other about the dream that we had. And as we were discussing that, my parents came back from Ooty. And we said, did Swami come? Did you go for darshan? And they were like, how did you even get to know? They had kept it as a secret from us. Otherwise, we would be demanding to come so early. So they didn't bother to even tell us about it. And they were like, how did you get to know that Swami has come? Did you overhear us yesterday? And we said, no, Swami gave us darshan. He said, since we told our parents that you didn't take us for darshan, but Swami came and gave us darshan. So that is one more, though it was just a dream, but it still stays on with me. So it was so real, and Swami had blessed us with that dream. And another instance where Swami showed us his omnipresence in Coonoor was in my 5th standard. The Upanayam ceremony of my brother was planned, and we wanted to give the first invitation to Swami. It was planned during the summer vacation. So as usual, Swami was in Ooty. So we took the invitation. My brother had it with him along with chocolates and the invitation. So Swami came straight to him, took the invitation through chocolates, and then he patted my brother on the cheek and he again said, Santosham, Santosham. Na kandipa varven. So like whenever he was in Ooty, I have never seen that with Swami after that. Even when we were in Anantapur, he used to speak with us in Telugu. But in Ooty, he always made sure that he spoke with all of us in Tamil. So that was beautiful memories that I have with Swami from Ooty days. So he said, Kandipa, even when all of us used to go for darshan, Swami would directly come and ask, Coonoor Balvikas Vandacha. So that's how he used to come, and then he used to speak with us. So we were very happy that Swami had given his sweet blessings for the Upanayam ceremony. And the ceremony happened in Chennai. So we had booked, my parents had booked a hall for the ceremony. And on the day of the ceremony, when we entered the hall, we were so surprised to see Swami's photo right there in the center of the stage. It was not there when they booked the hall. So my parents surely said that they didn't miss it. It wasn't there when the hall was booked. But the day the ceremony happened, for some reason, we don't know who had kept it or how it came there, but Swami's photo was there, right there in the center of the hall. And throughout the ceremony, after the ceremony, when we went through the video, in every shot, the angle was such that Swami was there in that. And then we knew when Swami says, Na Kandipa Varvan, it means that he comes. It's not just that he says something and then we had actually assumed that Swami had just told it was just a blessing. We, of course, didn't expect Swami to be there with us, but Swami said, no, when I say I am there, I am really there. It's just that you don't get to know what I exactly say, and we miss his words, misinterpreting what he says. So those were the days from Coonoor. But all of this changed when with the other transfer that my father got. So he used to be in a bank and he could not stay in a place for more than 5 years. That was the rule. So after 5 years, from my first standard to fifth standard, that's when we were in Coonoor. So after 5 years, he got a posting in Coimbatore. So we went to Coimbatore, though it was still close to Ooty. It was only 3 hours from Ooty. But just as we went to Coimbatore, we heard that Swami also stopped coming to Ooty. He had shifted his school from Ooty and he had taken back all students to Puttaparthi, and there was no school here anymore. And even Swami's visits, first, it used to be there for 1 or 2 years and then it stopped completely. He never came to that side when we were there. So that kind of a physical proximity stopped over there. And then we decided to have Swami's darshan for the first time in Puttaparthi. So till then, we never even thought of coming to Puttaparthi. So that is when in my fifth and sixth, towards those years, we thought we would come to Puttaparthi and have Swami's darshan. And the date we chose was Swami's birthday, and it was his 65th birthday, 1990. And we never expected what we would encounter over there. Just walked into Puttaparthi and then we realized, oh my God, what the crowd that we saw over there was something which we were not ready for. We were always thinking of Swami and the Ooty crowd, how many people used to come there and what kind of darshans there used to be. And that is all we knew about Swami. And that is the first time where we saw what Swami actually was. And that is when we realized the blessings that we got by being in Ooty, counted all our blessings. So we reached there in the night and there was no place to stay. It was completely full, overcrowded, overflowing. Puttaparthi was overflowing even in 1965. So the crowd, I think, which we witnessed in 2000 was the same that we saw in 1990 as well. Same kind of crowds overflowing everywhere. And so we didn't get a place to stay. And luckily, my father, since he was in Syndicate Bank, he went to the Puttaparthi branch, requested them to arrange us an accommodation. They said, no, it is not possible. Puttaparthi is completely filled to the brim. Not a single person could be accommodated, but they gave us, they said, okay, fine, you can keep your luggage over here and freshen up in the bank. But for place of stay, we can't arrange. So we kept our luggage over there. And then we stayed, we took our mats and we stayed under a tree in the roads. So that was a nice memory that I have from the Puttaparthi trip of 1990. And next day we freshened up, and after the morning darshans, Swami was distributing prasadam. Everyone were having Swami's prasadam. The free food was being offered. And there were huge, long lines for the food. So my father suddenly he felt, why to stand in such a big line? Already we didn't have a place to stay. And why are we going to, it's not, I don't feel comfortable making myself and my kids struggle by standing in this huge queue. So he told my mother, let's go out and look out for some food. We'll have it in some hotel. So we went out. I remember those days and how we walked along, and it was almost, we went to every street of Puttaparthi, every hotel that we could find, and it was closed. Everywhere we went, it was closed. We went till Chitravati River, and then finally one hotel owner, he came to us and he was like, why are you even searching for a hotel? Swami is giving free prasadam, please go and have that. All of us have closed our hotels because Swami is giving the prasadam. We are all going there. You can come along, I'll take you. I'll tell you where it is available. So again, after 3 hours of roaming around, came back, stood in the same queue and took the prasadam and had. And it was such a nice learning for us. And that's when my father said, I have heard that we should never reject or say no to prasadam when it is being offered. And I got a good lesson today that I thought I can ignore this and go. But when Swami gives you something, you'll have to take it. And you should have the patience to wait in the line. And just because you didn't wait in a line to take the prasadam, now you have to wait. After 3 hours, you come back and you have to do the same thing. So if Swami plans something for you, just that is the right thing for you. So that was nice. And next day, Swami's birthday discourse was there, and we heard how Swami declared that within a year, a super speciality would come up in Puttaparthi. So we were there in that discourse, and all of this created such a huge impact on us. And that is when we truly understood what kind of being we are interacting with. It was till then, it was Swami, it was our guru. Like from the time we were introduced to Swami as a God man, a holy man, and then he became our guru. And this is when we got to know that he is much more than that. He's not just any guru or anyone. He is the person whom we pray to every day. He is God for us. So my parents realized that during those days. But for us, the children, me and my brother, it was always the same. From the beginning, he was our God. So those were the days from Coimbatore. And I remember clearly one of the other darshans that I had was in my 9th standard. We used to go to Puttaparthi after that for every year for service along with the Sevadals in Coimbatore. My father was a very active member in Coimbatore, and we were also very active in Balvikas, and we used to enjoy those Balvikas classes. And it used to go for a long time. We used to start by 6 o'clock, and we used to pester our gurus to tell more and more stories, and it used to go on till 10 or 11 every Sunday. And those were the days. It was so wonderful. And then we used to go for darshans and service, and Swami used to give Pada Namaskar after every service that we had. And I learned so many things over there. I learned how to sweep, how to mop, how to take that kachada and put it in the dustbin. All of that I learned in Puttaparthi, to be very frank, how to wash your plates more than learning it at home. So it was Swami who taught us all small things and big things in life. So this series of darshan ended in my 9th standard. That was the last darshan that I had, and it was in Kodaikanal. Nice darshan. We again went for service. One memory from Kodaikanal darshan was I was given the duty of taking care of the chapels which were left by the devotees. So right there before the darshan lines. So what I observed was there were huge number of devotees waiting to have Swami's darshan, but one particular section just entered without any permission, and they were the students. And they just walked in, and they used to say Anantapur students, and they used to be allowed inside. So I was like, okay, so Anantapur students, are they very special? I was on the ladies' side, so I didn't know anything about what's going on in the other side. So over here, students, then I went and inquired, Auntie, who are they? What do you mean by students? Then the auntie who was our in charge, she told us they are Swami students. They are studying in Swami's college, and wherever Swami goes, they are allowed to be, they are allowed entry, and they are allowed to go and sit in the darshans. They can enter in their own time, and they are allowed to go and sit even in the front line. So that is one thing that registered in my mind. And I said, okay, Swami, one day I also want to be your student. I also want to come and have darshan like this. That it was just a passing thought, nothing more than that. I went back to my duty. So this was 9th standard. But why this darshan is very important is after that, my father was again transferred from Coimbatore. We shifted to Chennai. So that is my 9th to 10th standard. And my father developed some issues in his feet, which prevented him from sitting down on the floor. He couldn't sit on the floor. He had to sit only on the chair. So that happened. And he was also promoted as a senior manager in a branch, in one of the busiest branch in Chennai. So he was totally occupied professionally and personally. He couldn't sit down. So he stopped going to any of the samitis. He didn't want to go to a samiti and ask for a chair to sit. He felt very embarrassed to do that. So what he did was he stopped going to the samiti. And since my father didn't go, my mother also didn't go. And for us, it was a huge cutoff. From the time where we were so active and so close to Swami to a time where it was silence related to anything with Swami. So no darshans, no samiti, no bhajans, no service activities, no pada namaskar. Everything stopped at that point when I was in 10th standard. So that was such a huge jolt for, at least for me. But it was compensated by the time my father had a huge collection of Swami's books. So in my free time, I used to just go and pick up any of the books and read through. And there were also Sundaram bhajan cassettes lined up, Swami singing bhajans. Those were the things, how we used to spend our time, at least me. And my father, he used to wake us up very early in the morning, around 4:30 or 5, and he used to teach us Vedas. So that used to be the morning routine. After Vedas, it used to be Sundaram bhajans that used to go on. And then I used to just, after my school hours in the evening, I used to take a Walkman, put Swami's cassette, Swami singing bhajans. That's how I used to spend my time in here. But the longing to have a glimpse of Swami's darshan, that stayed on with me. I couldn't have a single darshan for the next 3 years, and that was very big for me. So immediately after 10th standard, my father asked that there is an opening in Swami's school. Would you be interested? Because my father was there from Ooty. He knew people from the school. So he got to know that there was an opening in the 11th standard. It was there in the 6th standard as well. So 6th standard, my mother had refused, saying, no, I'm not sending my kids to the hostel. So let them be at home. 11th standard, she was fine with it because we are in the highest classes. So it was left to me, and my father came and asked me. I said, no, I want to stay on with you. I'm not going to a hostel. I'm not ready for it. So I had refused. So this is what had happened in 11th. And by the time I was in 12th standard, I was in the science stream. So I remember very clearly, even before that, even in my 10th standard ending and 11th standard, from my home to school, it was a 2-kilometer distance, and we used to ride on the bike. We used to take a cycle to the school. So since I was in the higher classes, my timing was different from my brothers. So I used to go alone quite early in the morning, and then I used to come back a little later than my brother. So we did not go together and come back together as it had always been till then. So I was alone in the cycle, and I used to think, Swami, come, now let's go together. So that is when I established a connection to Swami, heart-to-heart connection, where I used to start talking with Swami throughout the way. And Swami used to keep listening, answer, and it used to be anything from current affairs to school, to teachers, to friends, and anything, any topic that I could even think of. And it was my imagination, of course, but I knew Swami was listening and answering to me. So that's how I established my connection with Swami, and that continues till today. So that is where it all started. So those days, I used to just get onto the bike, start speaking with Swami, and then lose myself in that. I don't remember the way that I took or the roads that I took. I just remember that I used to be speaking with Swami, and then I used to reach the school. And it used to continue the same way while coming back. So it was nice. I used to wait for it every morning to just start my conversation with Swami. So Swami slowly was taking me from his physical presence to his sweet, eternal omnipresence. That movement was very slow. It was not a drastic change, but even before I realized it, Swami was creating that shift where he was showing that he is not just the physical form. He is everywhere. He is inside us. He is inside each one of us. And the connection that we established with him. That is when it started for me. So in 12th standard, I was in the science stream. I was studying for my chemistry exams. I remember once I had gone to the terrace. I used to have this habit of getting up early in the morning. So getting up early and going to the terrace, watching the sunrise, and then starting with my studies. So after the sunrise, I opened the book. I started studying all the formulas, chemistry formulas, one after the other. Suddenly, when I looked up from the sun, the bright rays, it turned very soothing, and all wonderful red rays just came. For me, it was like Swami taking the form of the sun speaking with me. And I heard a voice, what are you going to do in life with all these chemistry formulas that you're studying? What are you going to achieve? I didn't have any answers. I was like, Swami, you should tell me what am I supposed to do in life? So one question that I've always had right from my childhood, even in my 3rd standard, I used to go to my father and ask, who am I? He used to say, you are my daughter and this is your name. I would like, I'm not asking that question. I know that. But who am I? Where did I come from? Who was I before that? And I used to keep prodding my father. And he used to say, ultimately he used to give up. And then he used to say, it is only for knowing that you are born. It is your duty to find out. Go find out who you are. That is why you're born in this life. And the aim of this life is just to find out the answer to your questions. And that same questions came back to me on that day in 12th standard. Who am I? Why am I studying over here? What am I going to do with these chemistry formulas? What is life? And I heard Swami saying back, come and get to know. This is what he said. Come and get to know. And immediately I knew that I'm going to study in Swami's college and find out for myself who Swami is, who am I, and what life is. So that was a huge change for me. I went down from the terrace. I went to my father and I said, I'm going to study in Anantapur. You get me application for the college. And he was, how come you have such a sudden change? I asked you in 11th standard. You said I'm not going to a hostel. It is only 1 year. Now you are in 12th standard. How come you're saying that you want to go and study in a hostel now? I said, don't ask me any questions. You wanted me to go and study there. I was not prepared at that time. Now I'm prepared. So get me the application. No other questions. And more than that, the surprise reaction came in when I said, I'm going to take the humanities stream, not the science stream. That is where it was a jolt for them. But why are you even saying that you're studying science? We thought you're going to become an engineer. I would have got you a place in any of the college. That time IIT was, I think, starting off, and my father was, actually he had ordered for applications for me for filling into IIT. And so he was like, huge shift from science stream to humanities. Why did you make this decision? What was the reason behind this? I said, I don't want to study science. I want to know what is life. I want to study philosophy. So that is what I told him. Philosophy is what I want to know. I want to explore what philosophy is. I want to know what is already written in our scriptures, understand that better. So he was like, okay, philosophy you can always do in your free time. No one is stopping you from reading, but why this shift towards a career move? I didn't know what to answer. And then I said, I'm going to become a journalist. I'm not going to be an engineer. That is the only answer I could think of at that time. And he said, okay, if that is your aim in life, if you really want to be a journalist, then okay, I'll support you. Whatever you want to do, I will say okay for that. My mother, it was easy always to convince my father. He would always agree to what we are saying. The most difficult part was to convince my mother. She was very unhappy with that decision that I had taken, and it took a lot of days for my father to convince her, saying that if she wants to do something in life, let her do. Ultimately, Swami will take care. So, but one thing was, my father said, okay, I'll apply for the humanities stream, but now you are in the science stream. So my subjects were computer science, maths, and chemistry and physics. But since I'm applying to humanities, you will have to take an entrance in history, geography, and civics. Are you fine with that? I said, okay, I'm fine with that. Let's see how it goes. But there was another motivation for me to say that. I wasn't bothered whether I would get a seat in the college or not. All I wanted was a glimpse of Swami's darshan. So I could go to Puttaparthi finally, and at least in the pretext of writing an entrance exam and have Swami's darshan. That is all I wanted. That one darshan, for that I could have done anything on that day. Actually, we used to stay in Gindi in my 12th standard, and I heard that there was a samiti or a temple in Gindi which Swami had opened, which was very close to the railway station, Gindi railway station. So I used to go. This is where we had already shifted. In my 10th and 11th, we were in Virgambakam, which was 2 kilometers from my school in Ashok Nagar. But in 12th standard, we had got our own house in Gindi and we had shifted over there. Though it was 5 kilometers that time from my school, still we used to go mostly in cycle, or we used to catch a bus crossing the Gindi railway station, but we used to cross through the railway station. So someone, I had read many books of Swami by then, and I knew that Swami had inaugurated a temple for Shirdi Baba, and it was somewhere in Gindi. That's all I knew. So I had to go and find out where that temple was. At least that darshan I could have. Swami cannot deny me that. So I went to the railway station, inquired with people, got to know where the temple was, walked into the temple to realize that it was closed. It was locked. And it was the same day after day. And then again, I inquired and found out that it was open only on Sundays from 4 to 5. And it was not open on any other days, those days. So again, Swami was playing around. So this was a pretext. I can have Swami's darshan finally in Puttaparthi. So days went by. The date of the entrance exam came. I was really excited to have Swami's darshan. We reached Puttaparthi only to find out that we would not have Swami's darshan. Swami was in Brindavan. Because during the entrance, it was a summer vacation time and Swami was in Brindavan. We never knew that. My motivation was only to have that one glimpse of Swami. And I really prayed to Swami that day and I said, why did you even call me here if you didn't want to give me your darshan? I came here only for your darshan, not for anything else. That yearning was intense. And suddenly, when we were walking towards our hostel, we heard that Swami is coming. And it was such a big surprise. We just rushed to the darshan hall and we got to know that Swami had just visited to see the construction in Kulwant Hall. Some few stones were to be constructed. So Swami had visited from Brindavan for that. But for me, I knew it was to give me his darshan. So I sat in the last line. As I had imagined, I had told Swami, even a darshan in the last line is fine. Just a glimpse of yours, please. So when I rushed, only the last line was available. I did sit in the last line. Swami came in from the place where he was there. He walked. He gave such a mischievous smile to me and he went. And that is where it all started. My journey towards Anantapur. So that's a different world on its own from what it was till then. And I had written the entrance, got in. Again, the entrance, as I told, my stream was a science stream and the entrance I was writing was in humanities. I didn't know any question. It's not that I had prepared for it. I just came here to have Swami's darshan, not for anything else. So I hadn't prepared for any of those questions. It was Om Shri Sai Ram, Om Shri Sai Ram. Take any question of your choice. One thing that I did well was in the English exam. I am sure of that, nothing else. So because history, geography, civics to an extent, because I used to like that subject, but history and geography, I didn't know anything at all. So it was just blind guessing. And it was Swami's will, nothing else, that I had cleared the entrance exam my name was there in the list and I was called for the interview. And during the interview, Jaima ma'am was there, Vice Chancellor was there, and they asked me the same question. You're from the science stream. Why did you apply for humanities? What do you want to do? Again, I had the same answer. I want to become a journalist. So that's why I'm taking humanities. And I had even decided on which subjects I would be taking. So I had told the Vice Chancellor, I'll be taking literature, philosophy, and political science. Even the stream that I would take, I had decided on that. He was like, okay, are you so sure you want to take only that stream? You have planned to this extent? I said, yes, this is what I want to do. Literature, philosophy, and political science. Because as I said, civics is something which I was okay with, comfortable. History and geography were aliens to me. I had not even thought of doing those subjects. So finally, I got through and I came to Anantapur in 1999. All our rooms were allotted, and next day we went to college. And that time I realized I was called, each of us were given our streams. And that is when I realized that my stream was history, political science, and literature. That is what they had given me. They had not given me philosophy, for which I had actually come here. So it was only history, political science, and literature. I didn't take it. I directly walked to the office and I said, no, this is not the stream that I came for. I came for philosophy, literature, and political science. You have given me the wrong option. And they said, no, it is not the wrong option. That is the right option that we are giving. We cannot change a stream for one person. No one else had asked for that particular stream. So just for the sake of one person, we cannot create a stream in a college. That's not possible. So you're supposed to be taking only what we have given you. Then I asked them, what would be the constraint? What if I have only taken that stream? What is the difficulty in you that you would face in allotting me that stream? So they said the timetable would change. Everything is fixed. Now we cannot go back asking permissions and changing and doing everything just for one person. It's not possible. You will have to take this. So I went back, I sat with the timetable and analyzed it right from Monday to Friday. And I realized that there was absolutely no conflict if I had taken that stream. Not a single day there was a conflict, because actually history was combined with philosophy for some reason. So whether you took philosophy or history, it didn't matter. The entire timetable, exam, whatever they had decided, there would be no clash. Again, with this research in hand, I walked back to the office and I told them, see, there is no clash. I think I can still take that stream. And then they took me to Jaima ma'am. She was our principal ma'am. And she was like, child, why are you so particular with that stream? And I said, I wanted that stream. It was only for that I came here. I don't want to study history. And they had actually offered me, if you want philosophy, you take economics, philosophy, economics, and literature. That was another stream which many of them had taken. Again, economics, I was very much alien to. And in my 9th standard, that was not a comfortable subject for me. So I didn't want to take that. So I told ma'am all of this. And I even reminded her that I had asked for it and even confirmed on this right in the interview itself, not just now. And she started laughing and she said, okay, if there is no clash, you can go ahead and take that subject. We have no issues with that. And I showed her that in the timetable, there was no clash. So they agreed. And then there I was taking philosophy, political science, and literature, exactly how I had wanted it to be. And Anantapur was a place where each and every, even the smallest of my desires were fulfilled. For example, one day in the hostel, it was one of the few early days when we had just entered the hostel. And I was missing my parents in the evening. This is the first time I was away from my parents for any length of time. I had not even gone to my native place or been with my cousins without my parents. So this is the first experience that I had without my parents. So I was missing them and I was thinking, Swami, it's evening time. I'm feeling so hungry. If my mother would have been there, she would have got me a samosa. Now I want to eat a samosa. And just as I said that, within 5 minutes, we heard an announcement in the hostel saying Kiran ma'am had got samosas for all students, and she had opened a hostel store, and she was as a first few things that she got for the students, samosas were there for that day, so we can all go and have. So even the smallest of the wish, right from samosa to anything that I had asked for, Swami has always fulfilled that. And all of this happened in Anantapur. One thing from my first year that I would like to recollect here is Diwali time. We had the first semester and then we went back home. By then, my parents had already shifted to Mumbai from Chennai. Again, my father had a transfer and he had shifted to Mumbai when I joined here in Anantapur. So the first semester vacations had come. We had gone home for the vacations. And when we came back, my school was in Chennai. So they had messaged my father saying that you can come and collect your some pending documents, I think some no objection or conduct certificate or whatever they were supposed to be giving. They said I could come down and collect it during that time. I had to go and sign and get it. So it was pending for the first term before I could go home for the vacation. So my parents had asked me if it was fine for me to extend the vacation for a week. That would allow my father to take leave, travel with me, go to Chennai, and then where we could get all the documents. And then from there, I can directly go back to Anantapur. So this was the plan. I was excited. Yeah, staying 1 more week's time with my parents. Why not? For sure. I didn't think of anything that Anantapur had all the discipline, or I was totally alien to all of that. And I immediately said yes. And it's not an issue. And he was like, do you want to check with your teachers before you say anything? No, it's fine. I want to stay for 1 more week. So I think I will manage whatever they say. So I extended my vacation without informing anyone, and went to Chennai, took all the documents, spent 1 whole week extra with my parents, and went back to Anantapur. And I think this was just 1 or 2 weeks just before the Diwali that we landed in Anantapur. And it was only when I landed in Anantapur, I knew what a big mistake I had done. Anantapur was known for discipline, and nowhere you're not supposed to be going against rules, not a single place. And to take leave and report back late without informing the college was a big thing. And along with me, I think there were around 10 or 15 of us who had done that particular year. We had all come back very late. And ma'am, Pushpa ma'am, she said, no, this is not doing. You people cannot take Swami for granted. He has all this process in place for a reason, and discipline is something which is very, very important. So as a punishment, we were dropped from the trip to Diwali to Puttaparthi. So that was the punishment that we were given. So they wanted to take it seriously. It was not that they did it purposefully. It was with a heavy heart that ma'am did that. And she said it to us that, child, we have never ever done this. But this time we are taking tough decisions because we don't want it to be repeated again. So you will stay back in Anantapur. You will not travel with us to Puttaparthi. So those darshans to Puttaparthi every month was something that is the lifeline of every student in Anantapur. And that is something which we could not even think of, being left behind in Anantapur. And that too on a Diwali day. I was thinking I could have at least stayed back for 1 more week with my parents and celebrated Diwali with them. It would have been the same instead of coming back this week. And I was totally disappointed, like every other person who was left behind. It was a gloomy day for us in Anantapur. And Anantapur is a place where you have to be there to believe what it is. It is a heaven on earth. It was at the right distance from physical proximity and It takes you to the omnipresence, eternal sweet omnipresence of Swami, the right dose of both the worlds, how Swami gives that. And it is only when you live in Anantapur that you experience, like I have read through the Bhagavatam and how Swami describes in Bhagavata Vahini in Brindavan, where every tree and stone would have a story to tell. And that is the same in Anantapur, where every leaf, every tree and bird had a story to say, and it was filled, infused with Swami's presence. So it was actually a gloomy day. We had dinner and we had slept off. And in the night, I got a dream, Swami's dream. It was again a very, very clear dream, and it was a real physical presence for me. Swami came and he said, "Why are you sad?" I said, "Swami, we are not in Puttaparthi. We are in Anantapur. It's going to be Diwali. I'm neither with my parents nor with you. I'm here in Anantapur. That is why we are sad." And then Swami said, "You said neither with parents nor with Swami nor with you. Then who am I? I'm here with you right now, speaking with you. How can you say you're not with me? You can say you're not with your parents, your physical presence, but I'm here. And you're saying I'm not with you. What do you mean? Do you even understand that? Do you think I'm just a physical entity here sitting in a Puttaparthi? Then who is talking with you?" And that is when even in my dream, I just opened my eyes and with full concentration, I was listening to Swami. And then Swami said, "You know who my true devotee is? A person who's never sad for any situation in life. Whether I give or not, whether it happens or not, whatever you expect, whatever the situation the life gives you, it is because of my will. Do you think that you decided to stay on for one more week extra on your own? Without my will, could you have stayed? Without my will, nothing happens in this world. Not a tree, not a leaf moves. And you're sitting here and you're sad. And that proves that you have no faith in me." So this is what Swami told. And that one dialogue of Swami, when I got up, I was so fresh and happy. And it was the same if I would have been with Swami physically in an interview room, how happy I would have felt. That same happiness was there on that day. So everyone was wondering, you are here in Anantapur, not in Puttaparthi. Do you even realize that? It's a Diwali day. All of us are left behind. Why are you happy? So, and then I told them about that dream that I had. Again, everyone were uplifted so much with that dream. And we decided to do special prayers for Swami right from the morning. We did our special Diwali prayers. We took a walk, a solitude walk in Anantapur with the sunrise, where no one around, only the birds and the trees and the beautiful climate. And Kiran ma'am was there, of course, with us. She was left behind as well to take care of us. So because of us, she also had to undergo that kind of a punishment. And then when I told her about that dream, she was also very happy. And it was one of the best Diwalis that I've ever celebrated. I still remember those days. And exactly how Swami said, any situation in life, you should know that the first thing I expect from you is equanimity. Be happy. Whether you get what I want, whether you get what you expect or not, what you're having with you is exactly what I want to give you. So be happy with that. And that was a wonderful learning on equanimity, which I had in my first year in Anantapur campus. And Anantapur, as I told, the mornings of Anantapur, especially in the weekends, the Saturdays and Sundays, go to the terrace, have a look at the wonderful sunrise from the Lion Mountain, and you can lose yourself for hours together. I don't think anyone would have taught us meditation or what it is to be in a state of transcendental bliss, except for just being in Anantapur and enjoying those quiet moments of sunrise. So really very, very thankful to Swami to have blessed me with this wonderful opportunity to just be in the Anantapur campus. And then Swami was to respond to each and every prayer of ours. What we learned as a batch was unity. the lesson of unity, especially in our sports meet time. So I'll quickly go through that as well. So it was during our final year sports meet. The practice was happening. I was one of the captains of the Sathya house, culture captain. So again, that was Swami's just blessing. I didn't deserve to be a captain in any way. I was in Shanti house, and one day I heard an announcement that you are being called, you are requested to report to the ground immediately. And I got scared. I had assumed, did I skip any yoga class? Did I miss any attendance? Now, what am I getting myself into? Why ma'am is calling me? And then went there, and she told, child, you are the captain for Sathya House, culture captain. Captain, me, why is that? Okay, it's Swami's blessing. That's it. Nothing else about it. So I don't think I deserved any of it. And I was one of the captains for the Sathya House. So sports meet was going on. And always we had one prayer that Swami had to come and bless us with his physical darshan in Anantapur campus. I think each of us as a batch would remember how much we prayed for that and what all we did for that. And we would not take no from Swami as an answer. Right from our first year till our final year, every time that we would call Swami, Swami would say, I'm already in Anantapur. How can you take me to Anantapur when I'm already over there? This is the answer every time Swami would give us. And then we would say, no, Swami, not that kind. We want you to come physically. That is what we want. So all those prayers were going on. Sports meet was in full spree. We were practicing, and then suddenly, again, for the strict disciplinary action, we heard that those who had failed in that particular semester would be dropped from the sports meet. Again, tough decisions, but discipline was very important in Anantapur. So we were told that the captains were called, and we were told that the children who did not clear the exam in that semester would have to drop out from the sports meet, and they would have to continue studying, because studies are very important, and Swami would surely make sure that he will not be happy if you do not study. That is what ma'am was telling us. But for us, it took a different meaning altogether. Especially what I was thinking of is taking a human birth is such a big thing. And then getting an opportunity to be in Anantapur as a Swami student is such a great thing, great blessing that Swami has bestowed on us. And sports meet is an opportunity where we just go and have a glimpse of Swami, just stand there. And at least we feel that physically he is looking at us. That is an opportunity which every student waits for. And just because they didn't clear in a worldly exam, it is not right for them to be punished with something which probably is the aim of their life. That is what we felt. And we had a lot of prayer sessions, lot of meetings with ma'am. We tried our best to convince her, and after a long struggle, probably a month's time, ma'am relented and she said, fine, since all of you are coming with this kind of an explanation, I cannot do anything about it. Let's leave studies to Swami. Okay, I give you the permission, let all of them be in sports meet. So this is what we were told. And that sports meet was really special. It was the sports meet of 2002. And ma'am was saying that you people are going against discipline. It is what Swami had laid on to. But here it is not discipline that we went against. It was the bhavam behind what we wanted to do. The feelings, the pure heart is what Swami responds to. Again, Swami taught us that. The sports meet of 2002 was really unforgettable. That was the year when Nadaswaram also was started. Surely Anupama's sister has a lot of memories of it. And Swami really blessed us, especially the Anantapur campus. That year, he was so happy with each of us. And it was not just because of the sports meet. It was because of the unity that each of us had in our thought, word, and deed. And that was such a big learning for me, the learning of what unity can do. Swami Sulabha Prasannaya Namaha. So just a little bit from our side would melt Swami's heart. And we knew how Swami was melted on that day. And after that, during the interview, again, testing times, Swami called us for interview, but he didn't say that he would give us the interview. He said, I don't have time. The Chennai people have come. The water project is going on. How do I spend time with you? Where to give you time from? That is what he said. And we knew how to not take no for an answer from Swami as a batch. I think that is where we learned that in Anantapur. God cannot say no to us when we want it. So bhajans, prayers, and he has to answer. So we started off with our bhajans non-stop from morning to afternoon. We didn't get up even for food. And finally, Swami sent word. It was around 1:30 and Swami said by 2:15, be in the interview room. And we did get our interview, and Swami blessed us with such wonderful talks on how he was during his childhood days, how Swami used to make the rasam and distribute to everyone, and how he played those cymbals for all our songs. And one lesson from that interview that I take till today is how Swami explained the meaning of Sayujyam. So he explained what is Salokyam, Samipyam, Sarupyam, and Sayujyam, and how Swami explained Sayujyam with the example of river trying to merge with the ocean. And Swami says, the ocean would not relent. It would test the river for 48 hours. It will keep sending it back. But river will never take no for an answer. It will keep coming back. And then finally, after 48 hours, the ocean will open up and then river will merge into the ocean and both will be one. And that is what you have to do in life. Sayujyam. Don't take God's test and don't take no for an answer. When you want something, have faith. It will always be granted. And then Swami says, I'm with you and you are around you. And it was such a beautiful time together on that interview. So just before the interview, we had chit picking sessions where each of us would offer one item to Swami. So in that session, I was actually testing my faith in Swami, and I closed my eyes and I said, Swami, I want to offer a small flower at your lotus feet. And that flower, when I'm offering to you, I would say, Swami, I'm offering my heart to you. Please take it. And I want to give that rose right into your hand. Please take it. So I was waiting for that. I knew I have faith in Swami. My name has to be picked, but it was not picked. I didn't get that chance during that interview, and it went off. Then we came back in 2003 for MA, and we had our summer course. So right as we were entering the summer course, I got a call from Gemma ma'am, and she said, you're going to speak in front of Swami. You're one of the speakers. But I was totally not prepared for that. Whatever I had with Swami was heart to heart, but nothing that I could speak of to anyone outside. And probably the most fearful person in terms of fear in Anantapur. So I was totally not prepared for that. And I told ma'am, I'm not prepared for this speech. And she said, it's okay, child. Just prepare now. You still have time. But you are one of the speakers. And she went off. And there were two speakers before me. So at least I managed to speak with them. And they agreed. They have always spoken before also. One is Priyamani sister and Savita sister. And they have spoken in front of Swami. And they had agreed to go before me. So I still had time to prepare. And every day I would go and sit in the darshan hall and my mind would go blank. What do I even speak? What to say about Swami? Swami does it is totally something which I can't even think of. And days went by. I didn't prepare a single word for my speech. But I always prayed to Swami, Swami, please, I'm not prepared for the speech. Please give me another chance. Next time when you call me, I will surely be ready, but not today. And this was an intense prayer. And after 4 or 5 days, ma'am called me and she said, child, I think you need to pray hard. Swami is not giving permission for the third speaker. He has already given permission for 2 speakers, but there's no permission coming in for the third speaker. Since you're the third speaker, please pray hard. I was happy. I knew my prayers were being answered. So I continued my prayer more sincerely. Swami, please just don't give permission for that one more speaker. But I promise you, next time when you call me to speak, I'll be ready for it. This time, please leave me. This is what was going on in my mind. And finally, Swami didn't give permission for the third speaker. And as a compensation for that, usually only final years are given that chance of reading the summary in the summer course time. And as a compensation, since I was told that I would be speaking and I didn't get a chance, they gave me a chance to speak, that is, narrate the summary of that day in front of Swami during the darshan hall. And that was such a big blessing. You're going to go and read something. It is not something you're going to speak. You have everything written down, and then the icing on the cake is you have a chance to offer that flower to Swami. So that day when I asked Swami in my final year, just within the next 6 months or even within 3 months, Swami has fulfilled that particular desire as well. So I walked to Swami, I gave the flower and I said, Swami, I offer my heart at your lotus feet. Please accept. Swami took that and I spoke. I just narrated the summary and I came back. But I knew that each and every thought of yours, Swami is listening. There's nothing that goes unaccounted. Every thought, everything that you think of, Swami knows and responds immediately. So the story continued from there. So this is not chronological. So I'll go back and forth of my stay in Anantapur. So 2 more experiences before we close. So it was in my B.Ed, that is 2005. Poona ma'am called me once, that is during the Veda Purusha Saptaha Jnana Yagna. She called me and she said, Swami wants one speaker from Anantapur campus and you're going to speak. So this time, no saying, hiding behind other speakers. It's just one speaker and she said, you are going to speak. Again, my fear came back in full spree. I did remember the promise that I gave to Swami in 2003. It is 2 years down the line. Promise is remembered, but nothing is prepared. It is again blank. Again, all the fear coming back in full spree, exactly the same way it was during the summer course time. So I went on, Swami, please don't give permission this time also, Swami. I'm not prepared. So this thought was conversation with Swami went on. Swami was not giving permission again. Again, Poona ma'am called me. She was our principal at this time in 2005. So Poona ma'am called me, same thing. She said, child, I think you need to pray hard. Swami is not saying, he told us there is one speaker from Anantapur campus. He took your name. He was fine with you speaking, but he is not telling us when you would speak. There is something missing. So I think you need to pray hard. This is what she said. But again, my prayers were, Swami, no, I am not prepared, Swami. Please, not this time. Again, I was sitting in darshan hall and the conversation with Swami shifted gears. Till now, Swami was silent. He was listening. Swami, I am not prepared to speak, not this time. So it was a one-way conversation going on. And suddenly, in full spree, I heard Swami's voice. If not now, then when? Do you have faith in me? Again, that same thing which he came back in my first year. If you are a devotee, if you have faith, trust in me in every situation in life and accept my will for as it is. So the same thing that Swami said, you are having fear with you. And the minute fear enters, that shows that faith is not there. Because when faith is there, there is no place of fear. So that shows that you have absolutely no faith in me, being with me for all these years. Till today, you have proved that you have no faith at all whatsoever on me. This is what Swami said. And it just shook me. I was blank. And then again, Swami came back. If I'm asking you to speak, don't you think I will speak through you? How are you thinking? So much ego you're having that you are going to go and speak. Firstly, you don't have faith. And secondly, you have so much ego. And you have not learned anything of whatever I have taught you. This is what Swami said. And I was immediately shifted. And I realized that whatever Swami was speaking was the truth. Because the minute you have fear in anything in life, that minute you do not have faith. And that is the truth. And if you're thinking you're going to speak something, Swami, please don't do this, don't do that, that part of ego comes in. And both of what Swami said was the truth on that day. And I said, Swami, I surrender. And he said, this is not the meaning of surrender. Surrender means do exactly what I say. If you go and stand over there, you're not able to speak a single word, people laugh at you, it is fine. It is my will. But do what I ask you to do. That is called as surrender. I said, yes, Swami, I surrender to you. I'm ready for anything that you say. I just said this. It was in darshan line and I was sitting somewhere behind. Exactly, I finished saying, yes, Swami, I surrender to you. I will surely follow. From today, whatever your will is, I just go by it. I said this in my mind. Swami directly walked from the Purna Chandra. He came directly to Puna ma'am and he said, today evening is the talk, ask her to speak. And he went. So that is how much Swami speaks with us through our heart. It is not physical. It is all omnipresence, all the way. Any thought that comes to your mind, he knows it even before you know it. Whether he responds or not, that is the reason you need the right time even for him to respond to your thoughts. So I don't know what I spoke that day. I just stood there. I don't even remember if I was nervous or whatever. But after I finished, I went back to take namaskar and Swami was clapping and he said, you spoke very well. That is how Swami blesses. So this is one experience of mine in Anantapur, and one more experience that I would like to narrate before we close. It's during my dissertation time in my MA. So I had opted for doing the dissertation. And again, I was very particular on the topic that we were choosing. I didn't want to do any random dramas or whatever. That each time when I wrote the dissertation, I wanted it to be dedicated to Swami, and I wanted a topic that would resonate with it. So I went to Jaima ma'am. She was my guide. So I spoke with her saying, ma'am, I want to do something where I could relate to. So I want to do a dissertation on Gitanjali. She said, okay, child, that's a good plan. So what we'll do is we'll compare Gitanjali with Hopkins. Poetry, both are mystical, both have elements, similar elements. So you can do a comparative study. That would be the topic that I would suggest for you for the dissertation. I was not happy with it because I couldn't relate to Hopkins' poetry the way I related to Gitanjali, because Gitanjali is suffused with all the mysticism and Vaishnavism and the 9 types of devotion, exactly how I would want to spend my days with. And I didn't resonate with it. I didn't say yes to ma'am. I still tried my best to convince her, but she said, doing in Gitanjali, I don't know what topic to give you. So comparative study would be what I would say. But things changed suddenly due to a lot of issues. We got to know that someone else had already done a comparative study and it would be a repetitive topic, so it might not be approved. And by then it was the last minute. We had only one more day before we could give our summary for the dissertation. So the next day morning we had to give it. So in the evening, Gemma ma'am called me close to the dinner. From her window, she called me and she said, child, okay, I'll change the topic now. Can you make a summary? We have only tonight, that is before 12. You need to sleep as well. By morning, I need the summary of the thesis. Can you get that to me? I said, okay, ma'am, what would be the topic? And she said, quest for God, the agony and ecstasy. That is a topic that I just, like an intuition, it just struck me that I would give that topic to you. Are you happy to take this? And I was in bliss. I knew Swami had answered my prayers. I immediately took it and my pen flowed, and within 11:30, I had finished my summary. I had submitted it, had got approved, and I started my dissertation. And I used to enjoy those days, quest for God, its agony and ecstasy, and how the same vicissitudes of life, how Rabindranath Tagore had felt it, how it came out through his poetry, and all of that was so beautiful. The days went by. But as by now you would have realized, I'm not a very organized person. I do things in the last minute. And the same thing happened for dissertation as well. So we had, it was again the last day. My parents had typed the dissertation and it was sent for print. And I had to get it bound, printed and bound. And I had to submit the dissertation the very next day. So it is on Friday. I had the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, to go to the town, do all the pending work. And Monday, I had to submit the dissertation. Otherwise, you're going to fail it. That is it. That's the last day that you have to submit it. So all of us had planned that we would go to the town on Saturday. There were 3 more of us who did together. So we all thought we'll go to the town and get it done. But on Saturday morning, I realized that I hadn't withdrawn money from the bank. So those days in Anantapur, everything is taken care of. You don't have money with you. It is always in the bank. So only when you come to Parthi, you go and you withdraw money. And it was an extension branch and it is usually closed on Saturdays. It is not open. So, and we are not allowed to go to the town also to just make a bank transaction. It's not possible to get permission for that from the Anantapur campus. So it was a Saturday morning. I had to go to the town and I realized I don't have any money with me to do that. And I have to submit the dissertation on Monday, not Tuesday. I can't wait till Tuesday to do that. I quickly checked with my roommates if they had some money. It was all in hundreds that they had and nothing enough to take the printout of the entire dissertation. I think I remember the entire bill to be around 3,000 to 4,000, and it was a big amount for students at that day. Surely we wouldn't have that money in hand. So went around asking few of my classmates. They also didn't have that amount. And I could have gone and asked my teachers, but that's when I thought, okay, let me test Swami again. Me testing Swami and me testing my faith. It's not that I'm testing Swami, but me testing my faith in Swami. So I said, Swami has always told, you want money, depend on me, don't depend on others. I will give you whatever you want. So I said, Swami, now I want money. I'm going to depend on you. I'm not going to go around asking anyone. Let me see if I'm able to get the money. So I left everything. Instead of preparing to go to the town, I went to the prayer hall, sat in front of Swami's photo, looked at Swami and I said, Swami, now I surrender. I have full faith that you will give me the money. And I'm going to depend only on you. Whether I'm passing or failing, I don't mind. Whether you're giving me or not, I don't mind. But I'm not going to go and ask anyone that I don't have money in hand. I'm going to depend only on you. After some time, I started giving suggestions to Swami. Swami, how are you going to give me that money? Now I start to give ideas to Swami as if he doesn't know. And all my Balvikas days, all the 9 hours and 9 Mars, all those stories came flooding to my mind, how the temple doors are open when the devotees come and stand. I looked at Swami's face and I said, what are you going to do, Swami? Are you going to open the bank doors for me? The minute I finished that, it is not even a second gap. The minute I just looked into Swami's eyes and said, are you going to open the bank door for me? I heard someone calling out to me from basement and they said, Vijay, you said you wanted money. The bank is open, run fast. I came out and saw who it was. I couldn't find anyone, but that was not the thing. So I rushed to my room, took the bank passbook and rushed to the bank. The minute I was going to the bank, that is when I'm seeing that Anantapur main gate is getting open and the bank car is coming in. It was not open at that time when someone had told me, or I don't even know who was that person who told me. The minute I'm reaching the bank, that is when the main door is opening and the car is entering. The bank manager comes in the car. I'm standing right in front of the bank when she's coming in. She gets out of the car and then she comes and asks me, how did you know I'll be coming in? How come you're waiting here for me? And then I say, I want to do a transaction. It's very important for me. My dissertation has to be submitted. So I need money today. She opened the bank and she said, just because you are here, I'm giving you the money. But I would have been here only for 2 minutes. So if you're 2 minutes late, I would have just left. How did you even think that you could have done the transaction today? So she told that, and she gave me the money, and she said, you know why I came? Yesterday, I forgot the main branch door keys. So I just came to lift those keys. And she gave me that money. She locked the door and she went, and I was left there standing. I didn't know how to react. So I thought I gave the suggestion to Swami. I asked him, Swami, what are you going to do? Are you going to open the bank for me today? And yesterday he has made her forget the bank keys. And I'm waiting over there, right there, for her to come in the car. So what else? That is our Swami. Kalatitaya Namaha, Sulava Prasannaya Namaha, all of that. I think it's already time. And I would just like to end with a small poem from Gitanjali. Again, I have a lot of memories with this poem. I wanted to say this poem right in front of Swami. When I was writing this in the dissertation, I said, Swami, this poem is very nice. I want to offer it to you. Please give me a chance. And in 2005, when I spoke with Swami, I had a chance again to say the same poem in front of Swami. It's always stayed with me. So I would like to conclude with that poem. Dear Lord, let only that little be left of me, whereby I may name thee my all. Let only that little be left of my will, whereby I may feel thee on every side, and come to thee in everything, and offer to thee my love every moment. Let only that little be left of me, whereby I may never hide thee. Let only that little of my fetters be left, whereby I am bound with thy will, and thy purpose is carried out in my life, and that is the fetter of thy love. Sarah.
Such a beautiful talk from the heart. Absolutely from the heart, Vijay. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for making us experience this love. And as Bhagawan himself gave you the right title for your dissertation, This Quest for God, Agony and Ecstasy. Now, I think it's more of ecstasy than agony in Swami's always. I mean, it's very, I think, trivial, or it's very momentary, those agonies that he makes us go through just to learn the lessons. It's ecstasy more than anything else, actually.
Agony for his presence, and just to have him when you want him to.
Yes, yes.
And the ecstasy when you get that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So beautiful. And I still remember you recounting this episode to me in the hostel itself. I think as soon as it opened and you collected the money, I remember you coming in telling me in the corridor, this is what happened. I remember that clearly. Wow, so beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much, Viji, for making us experience this, the Samipyam, the Sarupyam. I mean, Sayujam is still, we're still far away from that.
Sarupyam and Sayujam are still far off.
Yeah, I know.
The
so
journey
beautiful.
to that.
Yeah, I agree. So, and thank you for taking us down the memory lane, making us experience those beautiful days all over again. Thank you so much. And I remember very vividly that analogy Swami told of the river and the ocean. It is so, is this in front of the eyes of, I'm sure, for most of us, for many of us, yeah.
And Swami got up and he was showing us how the river would try to merge and how the ocean would push the river back.
Yes.
And he had a mischievous smile. 48 hours. Yes.
48, I remember. And he told in detail, he kept on repeating some things again and again and again and again, just to make us understand the river will come, the ocean will not allow, the river will go back, again it will come. And those, the detail and the focus that he gave to that particular, the whole thing was, wow. Thank you so much, Viji. Thank you so much. And it is a journey of love. It was absolutely a journey of love, as you said. Whatever you've recounted was so brimming with love. Thank you so much. And there's so many lessons for us to learn from this. So many. And as you said, God never wants us to take no for an answer. He doesn't want us to take no for an answer. It's so beautiful what he said. And that Anantapur is in the right balance of proximity and omniscience. That is such a beautiful statement that you said. That's such a beautiful statement. And that is what we're carrying with us even today, isn't it? I mean, even after we have passed out today, when Swami's physical presence is so-called not there, so-called, but we still carry that, as you said, that right balance of physical presence and omniscience. We feel him all the time with us, and just that we have to open the doors. Open the doors. That's it, right? So beautiful. Thank you so much, Viji. Thank you so very much on behalf of all everybody who's listening to me.
Thank you so much, sister. And it is blissful to hear exuberant devotee like her, always smiling, very enthusiastic, persistent personality type, probably born with perseverance as a quality, great. And so let's finish with three Samasta Lokas. And thank you for giving us a wonderful session, sister.
Thank you. Thank you for Swami for blessing me with this opportunity to recollect all of this again.
Samasta Loka Sukhino
Bhavantu.
Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba Ji ki Jai. Thanks. We'll all see again next week. Which blessed person we are going to hear, Swami's will. We will definitely inform. And so see you all next week at 5 p.m. India time. Thank you, Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Thank you all.
Sai Ram.
Thank
Sai
you.
Ram.
Thank you very much, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.